Hey, Buff Nation, voice of the bus, Mark Johnson. Coming up on the season-opening Buffalo Stampede, we're going to talk to legendary coach Gary Barnett as we get ready for the first game of the year on Friday night. Also joining us, Nate Lambert. He's everybody's All-American, the linebacker for the Buffaloes. Danny Sanchez and the soccer team coming off a 2-1 loss to the #1 team in America. We'll talk about a great start to the season, and we're going to talk to the head Buffalo, Rick George, on the changing landscape of college athletics. That's all coming up on the Stampede.
Dimitri Stanley's going to take it to the house.
There is why he's one of the best linebackers in America. And there he goes! Touchdown! Right between the eyes from downtown.
Attaboy Lolo.
It's a winner for the Buff.
Ball is right in front. A couple of shot fakes to Chief Perry.
Shotgun snap taken by Lewis. Drops his first college throw. He's going to loft it downfield. Dimitri Stanley the grab on the far sideline. Inside the 5. And he's out of bounds. 7 to play in the quarter. There's a pitch sweeping to Jarek Broussard. Turns a corner. He got hit. And his third and fourth effort. End zone. Touchdown. Touchdown, Colorado. Well, that's the last time we saw the Colorado Buffaloes on a football field. That was the Alamo Bowl against Texas. Hey, everybody, it's a brand new year, 2021-22. Coach Gary Barnett, voice of the bus, Mark Johnson. You know, for guys like that, this is like, like Christmas week or something here. College football, finally, games happening on Friday night.
I know, and I can't wait. I started watching the games this last weekend.
Yep.
I taped them and watched every one of them. I think I watched 4 games on Saturday, including the Broncos. So, yeah, we're all excited and ready to go. It just feels like it's been too long. I think everybody wants to be in where there's a lot of people and energy, because, as we did games last year, of course, most of them we did somewhere else.
That's right, remotely.
But even the ones we did here, it just was not college football as you really love it.
Yeah,
so.
It's been like a year and a half since we've all been together looking forward to that game on Friday with Northern Colorado coming to town. All right, how are we feeling right now, do you think, coming through camp and getting ready for the first ball game?
Mark, I think we're feeling good. Sometimes you only practice up to the level of your opponent. And I know when I used to schedule opening games, I wanted somebody who would capture our interest in the spring, capture our interest all through camp, and work up to it. And the fact I think that we're getting back to real football, we're getting back to fans being in the stands and the energy that's in the stadium, that I don't think it makes much difference who we're playing this week. Yeah. I think that they've had pretty good energy no matter what.
Yeah, energy has been evident, I think, out here in practice. All right, Brendan Lewis wins the job by default when J.T. Shrout went down. But I would imagine from a coaching standpoint, you don't want to put too much on a young man. This team wants to run the football effectively so that he doesn't have to carry too much weight, correct?
Well, it's going to be interesting for me to watch and see just what their game plan is and how much they're wanting to run him and how much RPOs they're going to do with him and how much they're going to have him carrying the football, because he's got a bunch of guys behind him who get paid for carrying that football that are all pretty good.
Very deep running back room. Jarek Broussard, obviously, the offensive player of the year in the Pac-12, kind of is the marquee guy in there, but there's some good ones, no doubt about that. Carl Durrell now gets his first full season as the head coach. We saw him just over a week ago at the kickoff luncheon, feeling good about his Buffaloes.
There's 3 words that I know resonates with our team, and the words are work, visualize, and believe. We've established the work ethic. They understand what that looks like. They've been consistent with their efforts. The other part is that visualization. I shared stories with them about when I had success when I was their age, when we won championships, when I was on great teams. We talked about those things in the locker room. We can do things if we set our minds to it, if we focus on the things that are in front of us, if we play for the man next to us, if we're accountable for each other, we expect to win. And then lastly is believe. Some of you guys probably believe in things when you have to see it first. We don't think that way. We believe in our vision and we make it happen. That's what we do. That's what real faith is. These guys are putting their own stake in each other. They're buying stock in each other. They're going to make things happen because they believed it happened before it happened. That's what belief is. And that's what these people are going to give you.
There's Carl Durrell at the kickoff luncheon here just a couple of weeks ago, getting ready for game number 1, Friday night, Northern Colorado. I call them the Flying McCaffreys coming to town on Friday night. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. Carl, though, it's got to be wonderful for him to have that really a full run-up to a season, and really after last year's kind of Zoom and virtual implementation of his culture, now he gets his hands on his guys.
Well, he's, Mark, I think the kickoff luncheon, because not very many people have been able to see Carl. I know I went to the first event where he actually saw donors and interested folks down in Arizona. And so that's the first time he'd actually met a lot of other people.
That's right.
That are interested in fans of ours. And I thought the kickoff luncheon, he had a chance to really lay himself out there for people to try to understand who he is and what he's about. And I thought he did a really good job of that. I thought Carl was being Carl there. You and I get to know him better than most people have. They all will get to know him better, but you and I have been able to really know what he's about and what he stands for. And I think that kickoff luncheon, for those who were there, and whatever we captured on camera, is a pretty good indicator of just who this man is.
Yeah.
But he's got to be getting excited. You will never know it. You've described him as a duck.
That's right. Home up here, paddling under the water.
So, and I think that's him. But you know, he's done a good job of letting his team know what he expects from them, and letting his coaches know what he expects from them. And what's even more important, he tells them what he doesn't expect from them. Yeah. So I think that's the mark of a really good leader.
Lastly here, I jokingly say the Flying McCaffreys. You got Ed McCaffrey, you got UNC coming in here. Carl said the other day, it's like playing an unscouted football team. A lot of unknowns, even though they're a lower level team.
It is, and it's, you know, it's anguishing for a coach to have to do that. And, you know, we're all about control in football. You know, it's basketball, they can generally go out and play those 5 guys against those 5 guys, but not us. We got to have plans. We stop every play after it's over and talk about it and send another one in. We need to prepare. And so I think it's really difficult to prepare for these kinds of games.
Yeah, being with the former coach in the broadcast, you wouldn't believe what he does with the crew when we get ready for lunch. It's unbelievable, the detail we got to go through. Looking forward to it on Friday night. Coach and I will have the broadcast beginning at 5, 7 o'clock. The kickoff between the Buffs and the Bears as the season finally gets underway on the Colorado Football Network. Coming up next, well, he's everybody's All-American. Nate Lambert joins us next here in the Stampede. Stands behind the quarterback, Plummer. Turn, hand off to Brightwell, and Nate Lambert that time comes knifing in. A loss of 2 yards back at the 5-yard line. That right there is why he's one of the best linebackers in America. Well, there's one of the many great plays this guy made in that odd season that we had back in the Stampede. Voice of the bus, Mark Johnson, number 53, joining us. It kind of feels like real football, though, this year. I mean, last year was great. It was good to finally get back out there and have something, but this kind of feels like real football now, doesn't it?
For sure. Just having the springtime for the team to, you know, take steps and then coming into camp, having a full off season, it definitely feels like football season's coming, and even just watching week 0 games on the weekend. So
wasn't that great? Hey, now the number one question I've been asked all fall long: how's Nate feeling physically? Kind of give us an update.
Nate feels great.
Yeah?
Long rehab process, long rehab time. I'm 100% now back in practice.
Right.
I'll be suited up there this Friday against UNC, and I don't think twice about it. I feel great, feel healthy.
Take us through the process of the recuperation and all the things you had to go through. I mean, was it tougher physically? Was it tougher mentally? Talk about that.
So definitely tough mentally the first couple months.
Yeah.
Coming out of surgery, not being able to walk, not being able to drive. Once you get, and then I made my decision to come back to CU, and then once I made that decision, you know, my mindset changed, and I was in a happy place, and I felt great to come back to CU, and they wanted me back, and then going from there, you kind of learn how to walk again, how to jog again, how to skip again, then how to run, and then how to play football again. Even the first couple camp practices, I still had to keep my feet underneath me.
Yeah, we just broke some news right there. Who knew that? Tough linebackers skip. I didn't know. I didn't know that was the case. Yeah. How tough was that decision on you when you decided to come back?
It was a tough decision just because I had that dream of going to the league, and
sure.
You know, that's why you play college football, to go to that next level. But I thought of the decision as a win-win. That it couldn't go wrong either way. and you know, Darrell helped me with that process along the way, and he expressed that they wanted me back, and just to feel needed was amazing, and to come back, and I've been accepted with open arms to this team, and I'm excited to be back here and have one more year.
Well, I'll tell you what, Buff Nation's excited. 53 is back in the field on Friday night, the season opener against Northern Colorado. We mic'd up one of the assistant coaches here this past week, getting ready for the season. That was defensive line coach and defensive coordinator Chris Wilson.
Slow it down, top of the back. Good, hips around, toe in, reach on the finish, reach. So every step I'm gaining what? Ground. Feet are independent, they never come together. Ready? Stay down, push out, not up. Elbows in tight, Justin. Elbows in tight. Put that inside foot back, son. Inside foot back, that's right. Punch, punch. Good, real good. Again, keeping yourself out of the harm's way of the cut block. That way, he can't cut your outside leg. Here we go, coach. Reach. Stay tight. Reach. Outside arm good. Spin, there it is. Don't slow down, run. Run, run, run. Club rip, reach. Get your hips around. Club. Do it again. Everybody win both sides. Come out of my hips so they ain't gonna count. Good, attaboy. That's not good enough. Come out of my hips. 0 step. Good, attaboy. Come out of your hips and allow your feet to catch up. Your feet has to accelerate on contact. Once your feet die, you what? You die. That's not good enough. Don't be in a hurry. Come out and play flat back. There it is. Good growth. Hey, Van Dees, that's a hell of a job. 2 nickel on deck. Know where you're at on the field. Let's go. 2 base on deck. You're the linebacker. You're supposed to make plays. Get up the ball.
There's Chris Wilson mic'd up. Now, he's the defensive line coach, but this year, this guy gets to deal with him a lot more because he's also the defensive coordinator. How was it playing for Chris?
Oh, it's great. Chris, a lot of energy.
A little intense, huh?
A little intense, yeah, but you got to be intense, especially being a D-line coach. You got to get those guys going. The game starts and ends with them really up there, so I think he does a great job with the D-line and just managing this defense as a whole.
You know, I want to ask you, because you're such a smart football guy, that's one thing we realized very quickly with you is, boy, you seem to innately just understand the game. How do you feel about the defensive side of the ball? Tell me what you're seeing from your unit.
I think this is the fastest defense I've been a part of, just because we've kind of taken a complicated defense and simplified it and allowed those young guys to come in and play fast, and it's created a lot of depth, which gives guys like me a lot of comfort in playing with those young guys, and a lot of depth, with which any great team has a lot of depth.
You know, you've been a leader on this defense, Carson Wells, your running mate out there, but boy, they've added some depth around you guys in that unit.
Yeah, for sure. Quinn Perry and Rob Barnes, guys are going to come in. John Van Dies is back. He's got some playing experience, and even young guys like Marv and Zephyr coming along really well too. But there's a lot of depth everywhere in the room, even the D-line and the secondary.
You know, offensively, you get to face that group every day in practice. There's a lot of weapons over there, right?
Oh, yeah.
And B-Lou is coming along as a quarterback. And what do you see from that side?
Offense is doing great. We have a tough O-line, and I think we have the best backs in the country. I mean, Jay Brew gets me sometimes, and I get him sometimes, but we're both making each other better. He's definitely one of the best, or is the best back I've ever gone against, and so I love having that competition going throughout practice.
You ready to run out there on Friday night?
Oh, yes, sir. It might be an emotional night.
We're looking forward to you being out there. That's Nate Lambert. He and the Buffaloes will take on Northern Colorado on Friday night at 7 o'clock at Folsom Field. Coming up next in the Stampede, we're talking soccer with head coach Danny Sanchez.
Need to be patient here. The long kick, the header, it's good! And the Buffs are finally on the scoreboard. What an opportunity for the Colorado Buffaloes.
Well, there was the one goal the Buffs had against #1 Florida State. Ended up being a heck of a match between the Seminoles and your Colorado Buffaloes. Danny Sanchez joining us here in the Buffalo Stampede. Off the top, first off, let's talk about that crowd. The atmosphere was unbelievable in that match.
And we thought it would be big, Mark. We talked about it when you have the #1 team and the clear #1, but what a turnout from Buff Nation, from the local community, from the youth to our student athletes, to our administration. We don't get that often. It was the best I've ever had in 10 years, and hopefully we can do it again, but it was a great day.
Yeah, fantastic out there. 2,500 roughly fans out there. It turned out to be a phenomenal atmosphere. Well, talk about the effort by your team against #1 team in the nation.
Well, like we mentioned, they'd only given them one shot on goal in the 3 games coming into it.
One shot on goal, not one goal. One shot on goal.
So we got a goal. We got a corner kick. But no, they're a fantastic group. Our team committed to the game plan. We scrapped. At the end of the day, the game was what we thought it would be. But what we want to do is be in the 80th minute and have a chance to get a result, and we were. And we got the goal. We got some. We could have hung them up after going down 2-0, but they kept battling. So it was good from that side of it, but I think we're past the stage of moral victories with our program, and we turn around this Thursday, play at TCU, the 6th-ranked team and undefeated as well. So it doesn't get any easier, but there's definitely some stuff to build off from the weekend.
You know, to put it in context, I mean, FSU's kind of if you use a football analogy, the Alabama of women's soccer right now. But with that being said, though, when you test yourself against a program of that magnitude, in a 2-1 loss, you got to come out of that, I would think, your players and think, okay, we can play with anybody in America.
Yeah, we do in the Pac-12, but it was just different. Non-conference is a different style. It's something we don't normally see. So, yeah, I mean, we need to get some confidence out of it, build some confidence. I thought there's some really good individual performances. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's all about getting wins. And we got a tough rest of our non-conference because it doesn't get much easier.
You know, one thing about this match is the Buffs are playing with a little bit of a heavy heart. Holly Hunter lost her mother on Saturday over the weekend.
So I was actually born 100% deaf in both ears. So I have no idea what a normal hearing person hears like. I just know what I hear like. Some of the challenges I've faced playing with my implants is obviously number one is them falling off. We solved that problem by me wearing a headgear. It protects my head and it keeps my hearing on, so that's a great thing. Another challenge I face is not being able to hear the coaches yell from across the field. So sometimes we have to do a little telephone game, and that's how I get the message from all the way on the other side of the field. It's always been my dream to come to a Pac-12 school. I always knew I wanted to go to a big school. I toured so many different colleges, and Colorado was the one that stuck with me. This was the place I wanted to be. I'm just so excited to be here. Like, I can't wait to get out on the field and make a difference for the Buffs.
Buffs on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Buffs!
Certainly a tough weekend for Holly Hunter and the Buffs soccer team as they come out of that 2-1 loss to #1 Florida State. And that is something that does affect a roster, but when one of their own loses somebody like that.
You know, we know the story of how Holly was born deaf, and obviously we saw that piece. You know, but you know, she reached out to us, and her dad did on Wednesday, and said, you know, Holly needs to come home, and we knew that her mom wasn't doing well, but we didn't know where it was at, and like you said, she passed away Saturday afternoon, and we talked to the team. I mean, there's obviously way bigger things that are more important, and to be an 18-year-old, to have, you know, older sister that plays at Northern Arizona, and a younger sister, and obviously her dad. To lose the wife and a mother at that point, I can't even imagine what she's going through. And all she does is text and say, hey, I'll be watching the game, and I hope the Buffs beat FSU. So she's a great young lady. She'll be a great player for us, and obviously we're supporting her. And when she comes back to Boulder, you know, we'll give her all the support that we can do. But she never made it all about her. She didn't make a big dramatic thing about it. It really came as a shock to all of us that this is the situation we're in. So we'll support her. We have great support here at CU, and she's part of our family, and we look forward to getting her back in the fold with us and helping us win some games. She's a very good player as well.
Amen. Our prayers and condolences with the Hunter family as well. All right, you mentioned TCU coming up. Another great challenge. Give us a little bit of preview for that match.
Well, they lost in the quarterfinals last year. They have everybody back. They're undefeated. They're beating up on everybody pretty well. So, and on the road, and they'll have a crowd like ours. You know, they'll have that type of crowd Thursday night for us coming into town. So we're going to have to bounce back. We're off today, recovery, but we're going to have to get back at it tomorrow morning because it's going to be a tough match. But another great opportunity to prove on the road what we're made of.
Well, you know, we've been talking about the football schedule. These guys are playing a phenomenal slate as well. Good luck on Thursday.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, head coach Danny Sanchez will take on TCU Thursday down in the Metroplex. Coming up next in the Stampede, we're going to talk to the head Buffalo, Rick George, the athletic director. On your way.
Rick, I know that a little later on you will be walking around glued to a cell phone, and you'll be calling recruits during the game, is that right?
Yeah, but I don't call them unless there's a timeout because I don't want to miss any of the game. But yeah, we'll call some recruits today and say hello and let them know that even though we're in the biggest game of our life, we're still thinking about them.
Well, look at that young fella. What was he, 28, 29 years old? Rick George, before he was Rick George that we know now. That was quite an image of you back then.
Well, actually, I realized I have hair. That was a good thing.
Strikingly good-looking guy, man. Breaking news like that, recruiting from the side. It was a different time in college athletics.
And yeah, it was a different time in college athletics. I had my box cell phone and got to call recruits during the game.
Well, you think about that moment, though. How big a game that was at that time? the Buffs on their way to playing in the national championship game. Nebraska was rolling. That was a heck of a game that day.
Yeah, it was a heck of a game that day, but guess who won?
Yeah, that's right. The Colorado Buffaloes did. How about that? All right, game week's finally here. Boy, that feels good, doesn't it?
It feels great. Just so excited for Friday night and can't wait for the crowd to be there and the, running out on Folsom Field with the background. I mean, it's just going to be spectacular.
You think it's been 2 seasons since we've, done this. From a staff standpoint, there's a lot of work going on right now. I almost forgot what we did 2 years ago.
Yeah, you really did. And plus there's some new things too, right? And that we've got to incorporate in this to make sure that, the stadium's healthy and it's safe and all those kind of things. So, there's a lot to be done, and I know our team's working hard on it.
Gary Barnett and I were talking here in the first segment of the show about the kickoff luncheon a couple weeks ago. Carl Durrell getting out there, and I hadn't thought about it. That was the first time, really, Buff Nation in person has had a chance to see him. He kind of laid himself out there, really showed what he's all about.
Yeah, he did, and the energy in that room that day, or I say that room in the indoor facility that day, was really great. Great kickoff to this coming athletic season in general. And, and then being at our women's soccer game on Sunday against #1 Florida State, and sold out, biggest crowd we've had in our history, ticketed crowd in our history, was just spectacular. And so, our women's volleyball team wins an invitational this past weekend. So a lot of really great things going on at CU Athletics.
There is a hunger out there from this fan base, isn't there?
Yeah, there really is a hunger. And, every place we go where there's more than 5 or 6 people and there's a bunch of Buffs together, there's just a lot of energy because they're excited about, being back together again. So it's kind of fun, but now it's time to go.
Hey, one thing that's so prominent right now in college athletics is, and it sounds ominous, the alliance is going on. Give us your take on what that all means for Colorado and the Pac-12.
Well, I think from a scheduling perspective, everybody gets it. We're going to create some marquee matchups around the country. The fact that we're going to be in 4 time zones with the Pac-12. And if you think about Christian McCaffrey a few years ago, a lot of people said they didn't see him on the East Coast. This gives us an opportunity as a league to do that. But while the scheduling is important, I think this is really good for college athletics. It kind of stabilizes, where we're at and where we're going. And I think working with the rest of the schools around the country, outside of the alliance is going to be important too, not just inside of the alliance, but having those 3 leagues together is really important moving forward for the future of college athletics.
That's probably the thing when you talk about scheduling. We probably see that evident in basketball sooner than football, correct?
Yeah, no question, because, football's already scheduled out. I think the good thing is we have ACC and Big Ten games on our schedule through 2027. So I think that's a positive. But I think you'll see more of that in the sports of men and women's basketball. But I think what you'll see moving forward too is having some of the matchups like #1 Florida State against Colorado in soccer.
Yeah.
And you're going to get that in some of the other sports. And you could see some kind of regional event that has those 3 leagues involved and other schools from around the country. So, but again, I think there's things like that can happen that can make this alliance really good for college athletics.
Well, great stuff. I know he's going to be jacked up on Friday night.
Can't
Let's go
wait.
get a win, right?
Let's do it. Go Buffs.
All right. Friday night, the Buffs and the Bears of Northern Colorado opening up the college football season. That's the athletic director, Rick George. I'm voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. Thanks for joining us here on our season opening Buffalo Stampede.